Welcome to the Gym Secrets Podcast with myself, Cale Owen, Mike Ferreira, and Ed Turney. This podcast has one simple goal: make gym owners wildly successful. We have each owned or currently own profitable gyms. And over the past 5 years, we have helped over 5,000 gyms become massively profitable through the secrets we will share on this podcast. And if you listen in closely, we guarantee that you will be able to build a wildly profitable gym. Enjoy. And as always, if you find value in this, do us a massive favor and just share this with other gym owners that you know. All right, guys, we're back with another episode of Gym Secrets Podcast. I'm here with Mike Ferreira and Ed Turney, and today we are talking about how to create true freedom inside of your business and how to create your dream team. So we're going to talk about specifically the roles that you should hire for and in what order you should hire them. We'll talk in another podcast at some time in links about the timing around hiring them, but we're going to talk first about the types of roles that are going to be needed inside of most gyms, when you should hire them, and the order. So let's kick this off. Mike, let's rock it out. What's the first role that someone's going to need to hire? So let's start from the ground floor. For the majority of gyms, when they start, they're typically the solopreneur. They're in there doing everything. What's the first thing that they should be doing?
Yeah, first thing is being able to get your time back and get off the floor, right? So most gym owners obviously you love fitness, love changing lives, and you're in there with your clients. And it's not to say you have to step off completely, but it's really important that if you want to build a business, right, you've got to be able to focus on the high return activities, right? Like marketing, like sales, like working on the product so people stay longer. And it's not necessarily a fulfillment of running the classes. It's how can I bring more value, right? How can I improve the experience overall on the journey so that people do stay longer? And so that first step is really going to be finding that first follower, that first, like your right hand, be able to come in, take over some sessions, get your time back so you can open up your schedule to work on the business a bit more than just in it. And usually that's going to translate into like getting more people through the door and being able to sell more. So like the first step is going to be hiring a trainer so you can get your time back off the floor.
Yeah. And what's interesting as we get into this, you guys will notice that it's operations to sales. So it starts in ops to sales. And the reason why is because you as the owner, regardless of your technical sales skills, will always be able to sell at a higher percentage because you are the owner, because you have inherent authority when you meet with them. So the ROI of your time in sales is always going to be higher than anything else. So Ed, what's the second role? They've hired their trainers. Real quick, one tactical thing that'll be very important: hire someone for the evening classes. If you run evening sessions, hire someone for the evening first. And if you need to coach in the morning, do that. But if you can only get someone for one time, get them for the evening first and prioritize that, because you're going to make most of your sales in the afternoon during the week. But ultimately try to get off of the floor, period. So
yeah. And one more thing on sales real fast, a lot of clients I've seen, they're just like, I don't like sales. I want to be the trainer. So they're going to bring this over. I'm like, I understand. Point. However, you are then a slave to that person because whatever they demand, you're going to have to give them. So you're not afraid to lose a trainer usually because you can step on the floor and do that thing. But if you're afraid to lose a salesperson and that's the only person bringing in money, like the superpower is to make it rain and bring in money. So like you have to be good at that no matter what. So even if you don't want to learn it, you have to learn it if you actually want to have a successful, sellable thing one day.
Do not deviate from this hiring hierarchy that we're about to give you and that through right now, because you will lose money if you deviate from this. Very, very, because sales is by far the most expensive role inside of your business. Hands down. So do not hand that off first.
Ed, what you said is like, this is the North Star, right? Just like as you get more time back, you've got to lean into acquiring the skills of marketing sales, right? You've got to make it rain. So with every hour that you get back, lean into acquiring the skills of running ads or outsourcing the ads, verifying that they're going well, people are getting in the building and we're converting them into paying customers, right?
And real quick on the concept too, it's so important right now, what you just talked about, what you both just hit on. The whole point of hiring people to run your operations is to be able to scale your operations so you can put more people through the door, so you can change more lives and make more money. If you are doing both, you can't scale. You can't do both. And you can't do both really, really well. You may be able to do it for a certain amount of time, but at some point you're going to hit your bottleneck and your cap. So the whole point of hiring people to be on the floor, to run operations, to do all the different things in the back end, deliver the product and service that you have, is so that you can create a scalable product and service that you can then pump as many people as you possibly can into it and still have an exceptional product and service. That's literally the entire point, so that you could focus your time on growing the business.
Yep. So for me, for my trajectory, it was get off the floor first. That was step one, which isn't always overnight. Like it will take time, right? But like you build all the trainers and have the right training thing for them and to QA them. Then it was just admin. It's like get all of this stuff off of my plate. So like the billing stuff, the emails, like all of the things that don't actually have high leverage. You spend a lot of time with that first person to train them to make sure they do it correctly. But then once that is off your plate, well, now you can really just focus on sales and those metrics and acquisition and scaling, and then focus on the next kind of higher level talent people. But like the boring stuff, like that, not boring. Boring's important, but the admin tasks, like not the best of your time. You know what I mean? So stay close to it because it's money. But like someone else can collect delinquent payments and et cetera.
Yeah. My next one would actually not be an ops. It'd actually be a part of the acquisition and be lead nurture. Yeah. So my next hire after that would be lead nurture. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because that frees up your time so that you can be in sales and marketing and make it rain. And you have someone that can take what you've used in lead nurture and hopefully you have a solid show rate and schedule rate. But that person can then take that plug and play because that is just ditch digging. That is blue collar work, messaging people, hard work, contacting them, calling them, sending video, text messages, voice memos, you name it, hitting up the comments, just working people to get them scheduled and showed. That does not take inherently high level of skill set. It's really just following a written process to a T and just doing it over and over and over again. Very similar to an administrative role, but most of the time, depending on your business, you might be able to have them do both, but realistically, you want one person to be doing lead nurture because your job as the owner is to make it rain. So you want enough leads to be overwhelming people to where an admin can't do it. They have to do the business. They have to be focused on their clients while the lead nurture person is focused on the prospection, the growing of the business. So that would be the next hire. So first hire is get off the floor, get trainers, people to run your sessions. Second one is an admin to take over all of the boring but brilliant work that's required. And then next would be lead nurture. Mike, what would be the next one?
Well, I was just going to dig into that lead nurture one. I've seen how inconsistent it is when owners are handling lead nurture is because, our attention has to move from one thing to another, right? And so that lead nurture, hire is monumental in creating stability within the business, right? And so now that we've got, let's say, 3 new hires and some time back, now things are getting a bit more complicated, right? So I think that next step is ops, is for somebody to actually verify that everything is being done in a certain way and that everything is actually being optimized and improved. And generally speaking, it's not usually the owner's strength, right? Is ops. I think most gym owners that we see are maybe a bit more in general. Sales or being on the floor is really where they thrive. And so be trainer, admin, lead nurture, then ops.
Yeah, so that'd be similar to like a GM role, basically. It's like a GM of the facility that can handle the day-to-day and handle the events and all that stuff so that the owner can, again, buy back time so that they can then go and focus again on marketing and sales. And then, Ed, your next hire would be after this.
I'm trying to think of the wrong ways I've done this in the past. So off the floor, op stuff, basically, depending on the volume for me, like you would need someone to be like the head of like the accountability, like client communication thing, and or you start to bring in the part-time salesperson. Depends on, I think, the level. Like we're talking a 500 person large group facility versus a 120 semi-private facility. I think it's a little bit different of a next step. I'm curious your opinion.
Yeah, I think it depends on the type of facility and how many members you have. Yeah. I think accountability is a big piece because at this point, if you're growing, churn will rear its ugly head and cap you. And so if that is a problem, you have a lot of clients and you're having trouble with your GM and your admin and your coaches not being able to hold them accountable, then yes, that would be the spot. If not, my suggestion would actually be not even sales. My suggestion would be marketing. You should either outsource it or find someone else to do it. And the reason why is because marketing is constantly changing, constantly being updated. Unless you absolutely love it, it's very hard to keep up to date with everything that's happening. And while it's very simple to run yourself, it's frankly, if you can find a good one, aka Gym Launch, then they can just run your ads for you and you can get a boatload of leads and you can focus on selling them and building your team and your product.
What's funny is that I didn't even think about that because Mike always ran my ads for me, so I never had to worry about it.
Exactly, because that was the first thing
back in the day, right?
But a lot of gym owners, like there's so many crappy agencies out there. There's so many crappy ones out there. Yeah. A lot of gym owners, I think a lot of gym owners should actually learn how to run ads so that they understand it. They need to know enough about it. They shouldn't just hand it over because they should be able to know how to generate leads. They don't have to know the specifics, but they should know enough to be dangerous to be able to do it themselves in case the agency that they're working with or whoever who's running their ads isn't good enough. And they should be able to spot what a good agency or a good service looks like. And again, marketing is not going to be your most expensive hire. Sales will always be your most expensive hire. So save that for last.
Yep.
That's what led me to, getting pretty decent at running ads, is that I would, go from, agency to agency. We start looking at the numbers. You're like, I don't see the ROI. You start looking into what they're doing. And so just started learning myself. And then what happened actually was I actually hired and built one in-house, like literally hired and taught, right? At the time, it was our videographer, not recommending this, but, and actually created a little digital agency internally. And that was, I think, the moment when we became, when we had marketing in-house and had an acquisition engine where we had a positive ROI. That's when we really scaled, because I could just put all my time and attention into sales, and I didn't have to think about the ads. I didn't have to think about being on the floor. I didn't have to think about whether those contracts were being like put into the CRM. Like at that point, I had basically fired myself from all of the other positions, right? And all of my time and attention, 6 to 8 hours a day, was just selling.
And then once you have that, now you can go out and start getting the salesperson. So by now you should have have a bunch of recordings of your sales appointments. You should have all the best ones. You should have scripts down. You should have objection overcomes. You should have training available. So when someone comes in within a week to 2 weeks, you know exactly whether or not they're going to be a good salesperson. You can just get them started. And then from there, the next step to true freedom is you become the CRO, the chief reminding officer. So now you're looking at the data, you're planning on what's the next big thing we're going to do. And you're being willing to sit in the boring, profitable work of a regular business instead of trying to dabble in a whole bunch of different outside things, which will take your attention away, and your baby will start to flounder if you do that. So sit in it until you're getting $20,000, $30,000 a month in profit. And then let's talk about doing something else after that. And I mean, like, you don't have to be in the gym. Like, you can show up, shake hands, kiss babies, spend 2 to 5 hours a week in your gym just doing that, not having to do anything. And your business is still making you $20,000 to $30,000 profit. Cool. Then we can look at either another location, acquiring just for $0 down another location and turning it around, or doing something else. But I don't know anyone out there that would be upset with profiting $20,000 to $30,000 a month while working 5 hours a week inside of their business.
And also, Ed's biggest thing that I say almost every single day is, when you're making $30,000 a month profit for 9, 10, 12 months, sell the thing.
Yeah.
Sell it, because you can get a 5x multiple on your profits. You're completely outsourced. You now have a sellable asset. And then the question I always get is, well, then what do I do? Whatever the hell you want. If you want to start again, go do it again. But like, to get a $600,000, $700,000 payday in a day, that would be a really good decision, because even though the gym's doing awesome, that sale is going to feel fantastic. And then now you have the skills to do it faster and better next time. And so
it's likely it won't keep those margins forever.
Yes.
Right.
Correct.
Cash now is way better than cash later.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Always. So recap real quick. So these are the roles that you need to hire in the order. First, we've got trainer. So get off the floor. Next is admin, to take over all the boring but brilliant work inside of the facility, dealing with clients. Next one is going to be lead nurture, so that you can make sure you're getting a good amount of schedules and shows. The next one is going to be a GM style role. Doesn't have to be GM specifically, but someone that can oversee the operations within the facility overall, manage the team, hold them accountable to the product and the service and the standards that you have. The next one is just going to be dependent on your size. So you can go either marketing, outsource your marketing, or hire someone to do the marketing in-house. Most people can't afford to do that, so they outsource it, which makes total sense. Highly suggest, if you're looking for outsourced marketing, Gym Launch, exceptional way to do it. You should check us out. And, or you could do someone like an accountability coach, hire them in to just be the accountability person to help lower churn and increase retention. And then last but not least would be sales. That'd be the last position that you do. And then don't just say goodbye to your facility after that. You need to sit in it for a good 3 to 6 months minimum, overseeing everything, still being there, doing overseeing it, being the chief reminding officer. Keep pouring into your leadership team, into all of your team across the board, to make sure that it's still growing without you actually doing the work. And when you do that, it will pay off really, really well. And then you have a sellable asset. And if you want to sell it, congrats.
So simple.
That's it. All right, guys, if you enjoy this, listening to this, if you find value from this, our only 2 requests are: 1, leave a review. And the second one is more important, is share this with another gym owner who you feel would find value in this. We appreciate you as always. We never want to waste your time. And we look forward to you listening to the next episode. Peace.